Okay, welcome back to the Okay Not Okay podcast. I'm Dr. OK. Today we are talking about who's next, which is where we talk about who at least should be next up for world title opportunities. And today we will go over each of the titles on both Raw, SmackDown, and the Women's Tag Team Championships. So, as we go into SummerSlam, we may see a bunch of title matches going on at the pay-per-view. So we want to see who should be next, and we'll see if we get there in just the next few weeks. So let's start with the Raw titles, and we will go with the World Heavyweight Championship to start. Well, this is an easy one. Gunther won the King of the Ring tournament, so he's been guaranteed this title shot for a few months, and so he's going to get it. It's already been set on Raw. It will be Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. But let's just go through all of this as we normally would. We usually show who we believe are the top 3 contenders, and then one person or tag team who should not be in contention. And that last spot usually goes to someone or team who has been doing something of late, but just doesn't deserve it, because obviously there are tons of wrestlers and tag teams that don't deserve chances, but we want to at least have someone in that spot who's usually been top of mind. So after Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, next we would have Drew McIntyre. And we talked a lot about him for the OK question of the week, so we don't have to do a lot more about him, but he is still 3-2 since he returned on June 10th, and as you know, both of those losses were due to CM Punk's interference. Third, we would have Braun Strowman. He is actually 3-0 in one-on-one competition since he returned, and as a former champion, I don't see why we shouldn't get him right back near the top for the contenders. Now on the other side, who should not be a contender? Well, we're going to have to say it's Seth Rollins. He lost his title at WrestleMania, and we were happy to give him a rematch for that title when he came back, and sure enough, he did. And he should have won if the ref didn't mess up, but as they said on Raw, mistakes happen. There wasn't anything devious about this. It was just a really, really bad job by the ref. So unfortunately, he falls to 0-1 since WrestleMania, so we think he should probably have to win a couple of matches before he gets back into contention. Next, the Women's World Championship. Well, this one is a piece of cake. Rhea Ripley obviously should get the first shot at this. She did not lose the title. Liv Morgan attacked her in the backstage area, causing her to be injured, hurting her shoulder, keeping her out for several months, and now she's finally back. She obviously should get the first chance to regain the title that she did not lose. And on top of that, as we said earlier in the week, she is 22-0 in her last 22 singles matches, not losing since December of 2022. Wow. She should definitely be the #1 contender. Secondly, should be Io Sky. She is 5-2 in one-on-one matches in 2024, and after losing to Lyra Valkyria in the Queen of the Ring tournament, she got her revenge and beat her later. So that moves her up to #2, and therefore #3 should be Lyra Valkyria. She's just behind Io at 4-2. She does have the head-to-head win against her, but Io got it back, so she slides down one spot below Io. Lastly, who shouldn't be a contender here? It is Zelina Vega. She is 0-6 in singles matches in 2024. She worked her way into a title shot against Liv Morgan, but, well, she didn't win. So, unfortunately, this is it for her. She needs to drop down and win a few matches before we think of her again. Now, for the Intercontinental Championship, still held by Sami Zayn, He has had the most title defenses of anyone in 2024, and he needs a new contender. So, assuming his injury is not too bad, we're going with Ludwig Kaiser as the number one contender. He is actually 3-0-1 in one-on-one matches this year. So that is about as good as you can get. So we need some new blood here. He deserves the next shot. But number two will be someone Sammy just saw at Money in the Bank, Braun Breaker. He has dropped 4 straight matches now, but still has a very impressive 7-4 record. Now, what we have to put in there is that the first 2 of those losses were by DQ and by someone who Breaker did not have anything to do with. So you could almost throw those first 2 losses out. Yes, he lost clean to Sammy in the middle of the ring at Money in the Bank, but he still has a great record. We think he still deserves to be near the top of this list. And third, surprisingly, as he's shown up before on this list in the other category, Bronson Reed has worked himself back into contention. He may not have a great overall record, but he now has won 3 straight matches in one-on-one action, including just this past week on Raw against Pete Dunne. So let's get him right back in there for maybe another shot against Sami Zayn. But who should not be the contender? Well, we still have to go with Chad Gable. He has lost 5 out of 6 singles matches. There's just no way we can put him back in here. And right now, it's probably better for him as he just needs to avoid the Wyatt 6. And lastly, the Raw Tag Team Championships have changed hands. It's now the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and JD McDonough. But the Awesome Truth had defended their titles successfully several times since WrestleMania, and they had won 6 in a row going into their match where they lost the titles. So yes, they certainly deserve the first shot at a rematch to regain those titles. Secondly, the Authors of Pain, yes, their last match was a loss for the titles to Awesome Truth, but they're still 5-2 in traditional tags, so that puts them well ahead of the rest of the pack, so they can remain number 2 on this list. Thirdly, it's really hard to find someone that deserves it, so we're going to have to stick with the New Day. They are just 500 at 2-1-1 in traditional tags, but I guess that's just good enough. We don't have that many options who have had any sort of success. So who should not be in the running? Well, it's the Creed brothers. We just saw them a few weeks ago reach out to Chad Gable after he was attacked by the Wyatt 6, but they haven't had any success. Maybe Gable can coach them up and get a few tag team wins, but for now they are 0-5 in all tags and shouldn't be anywhere near those championships. Now let's head on over to SmackDown for the undisputed WWE Championship, still held by Cody Rhodes. Well, Randy Orton remains our number 1 contender here. He didn't have any one-on-one matches in the last month, but he's still 7-1 in all one-on-one matches in 2024, and he only narrowly lost by a very controversial finish at the King of the Ring without having both shoulders on the mat, so he has no reason to fall here. He's still our number 1 contender. Number 2 on this list, Andrade. He had an amazing showing during the Money in the Bank ladder match with a couple crazy moves, but he unfortunately came up a little bit short, but still he is 4-0 in one-on-one matches, and of course won a multi-person singles match to qualify for Money in the Bank, so he definitely deserves to be the number 2 contender. Thirdly, Santos Escobar will remain our number 3 contender, even though he didn't qualify for Money in the Bank. He is still 5-2 in all one-on-one matches this year, so a strong record will put him 3rd on this list. Lastly, who shouldn't be? Well, I think it's the person that might be staring at a championship match, as Solo Sikoa is just 1-4-1 in one-on-one matches, and he even lost his most recent match to Cody Rhodes this past month. I don't know why anyone thinks that makes him deserving of a possible title shot right now, but he should be nowhere near this particular championship. Let's move on to the WWE Women's Championship, currently held by Bayley since WrestleMania. Well, here we still have Nia Jax as the automatic #1 qualifier from winning Queen of the Ring. There's really nothing to dispute here. She's been waiting in the wings for a few months, so now is her time to get that title shot. Secondly, Tiffany Stratton. Well, she's also missed Money in the Bank after winning the ladder match, so she's won 2 straight multi-person singles matches, first to qualify for that match and then winning it, but she doesn't really need the Money in the Bank contract to earn a shot here, as she is 5-2-1 in one-on-one matches this year. Thirdly, let's go to Bianca Belair. She is still an impressive 5-1 in one-on-one matches. Since she's not currently a tag team champion, well, I certainly think she could get right back in there into the women's championship scene. So we'll see which way they go. It looks like Jade and Bianca want to go for the tag team titles again, but we'll leave Bianca as a strong option for the WWE Women's Championship. But who shouldn't be? Well, it's the person who had the most recent opportunity, Piper Niven. She lost at Clash at the Castle and just lost again on SmackDown to Bayley. So she is 0-5 in all singles matches, and she needs to go to the bottom of the line. For the United States Championship, this one seems to be destined to happen. It is LA Knight, looking like he will definitely take on Logan Paul at SummerSlam. Knight is still an impressive 6-3 in one-on-one matches, even though he came up short in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Secondly, we will go with Kevin Owens. He's been dealing with the bloodline for a while now, but he still remains at 3-2 in one-on-one matches, which over 500 for this championship is about all it takes to be a contender, so we'll put him at #2. Number 3, surprisingly to some maybe, but we'll put Tama Tonga here. We actually had him for the undisputed WWE Championship last time, but he doesn't seem to be the Bloodline member who will go for that title, with it looking like Sikoa would be the option, even though he doesn't deserve it. But Tonga is still 2-1 in one-on-one matches, so we'll put him 3rd on this list. Who shouldn't be in the running? Well, now that he's lost the tag team championships, you may think Austin Theory might want to go back towards that United States Championship, but he's just 1-3-1 in one-on-one matches in 2024. So we are moving him away from this championship for now. If he wants to go back into a singles contendership, he needs to win a few matches. Lastly, on the SmackDown side, the SmackDown Tag Team Championships just changed hands in this past week's SmackDown, with DIY capturing their first main roster Tag Team Championships. So who should be their first contender? It's a tough one, but we will reluctantly give A-Town Down Under a rematch. They are just 4-3 in all tag matches, but as the most recent title holder, and they at least had one successful defense of the title, I guess we'll have to give that to them, because the rest of this list is not very strong right now, with the Street Profits being number 2. They did just win last week against Pretty Deadly, so a recent win is not too bad to get you right back into a shot at this, as they are only 2-2 in all tag matches since WrestleMania, but that is better than most on the SmackDown side. Thirdly, we will pull this one out of thin air and go with Tama Tonga and either Tonga Loa or Solo Sikoa as the 3rd spot. Both of these combos are 1-0, so we haven't seen them much, but the Bloodline seems to be pretty successful in tag matches of any sort. So maybe Tama Tonga is just the lucky charm here, and whoever he puts in his team, maybe they're going to win a tag team championship. So let's give them maybe a shot. Let's hopefully see them win another match in whichever direction they want to go with Tonga's partner, but I think they could be strong contenders here. Lastly, who shouldn't it be? Well, Pretty Deadly did just reappear this past week on SmackDown, but they have not been successful. This was their first match since WrestleMania, but they're just 1-5 in all tag matches this year. That is certainly not a pair that deserves to be going for a tag team championship. And our final titles that can go to either brand, the women's tag team championships, we have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill saying that they're going to go right back for the championships that Fire and Dawn stole from them at Clash at the Castle. So let's see that rematch happen very soon and get these titles probably back onto Jade and Bianca. But if not them, we will go with Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. They have lost all their title opportunities, but when they're not going for the titles, they are really good, and they are 8-3 in all tag matches. So if not Jade and Bianca, let's see if Zoe and Shayna can take down Fire and Dawn. Thirdly, I guess we're going to have to stick with Piper and Chelsea. They didn't have any matches this past month, but they still have a 2-match winning streak, which is better than what anyone else can say. So they will stay right here at the 3rd contender spot. Lastly, who shouldn't it be? Well, I think it's safe to say Indy and Candice have run out of steam. They have lost 4 out of their last 5 matches, and in fact have lost 3 in a row to Jade and Bianca. They need to regroup, maybe take on somebody else for a change, and get a couple wins before we seriously consider them for another title shot. So there you have it. There's who should be next for each of WWE's main roster titles. What do you think? I think this is right, but we'll just have to see what the actual general managers are going to do as we head into the biggest party of the summer at SummerSlam. I'm Dr. O'Kay, and this has been the OK Not OK podcast.